get to an area where they can get me information and update information, I can have a completely separate database from that module.
You can, and there's more than one way to do that. In fact, what I would end up doing is porting data over to a database and leaving .NETNuke out of that. You can write an SSIS package to keep that up synchronized, or actually you can have a, what is that called, subscription services between the databases to constantly push the data out, keep it synchronized. That'd actually be the best, probably, approach to that. So back up your site and database, download the installation or upgrade package, unzip the package staging folder. Okay. Now, the staging folder is not the folder you have your site in. I want to make that clear in these particular steps. The only reason being is if you have changed anything in your .NETNuke installation, right now you need to go through your documentation because you've documented it well, right? Yes. All right. And at that point, go through the files that are in the upgrade package and see if you need to make any changes to the upgrade package so that way your site won't break when it gets overwritten. So when overwritten is the next step, copy those files over your site. All right, so that's simple enough, right? This is all simple things that you could task out an intern to do. Yeah, drop the file over. Yes.
Got a question. When you're talking about, you know, all right, I downloaded. I found out okay, there's an upgrade I need to do. So I downloaded it. I unzipped it. I'm looking at it, and now you're saying, you know, make any necessary modifications. As far as
those modifications to the upgrade package are only in relation to things that you might have changed in the core code. So let's say right now we just installed .NETNuke. If I went into one of like the admin folder, for instance, there's an admin folder in there with things like that contains things like the controls for your user's page or module and things like that. So let's say I went in there, we'll keep it simple. I went in there for that user's control. I maybe changed a class name reference in there or the width of something in there. Okay. If that's something that, and this wouldn't break production obviously, but let's assume it would. When you go in there and you have your upgrade package, you put it in your staging folder. You want to go change that before you put it over your site.
Okay, so the little modifications you made over here, highlight them, copy them, and then bring them over. Yeah. Put it into the modifications, and when the modifications get transferred over, the changes you made previous will still stay over.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. All right. So that's only important if you know you're 100% sure that you've changed something. If you haven't changed anything, then it's basically a waste of your time. You can put it right on top of your site if it's backed up. Back it up. All right. So the next thing is to view your site. Now, I put a little URL down here. There's something in your web config, and I suggest doing this. So real quick, I'll show you. There's a bunch of stuff in your web config, actually. I shouldn't say something. So when we look at it, first things first, you can see that the connection string got changed with the, you remember I showed you had SQL Express stuff in there. It got changed for you. Let's see here. What do I like? Auto upgrade. That's a app settings key. Okay. Auto upgrade equals true. By default, that's always on. I would suggest turning that off after you install your site. So just change that to false. And I'm going to go ahead and do that.
So if that's true, it checks for new updates?
Yes, if that's true, what's going to happen is when you drop your upgrade package on top of there, well, first of all, in the global file, what it does is there's a check to see if the database or there's an upgrade been dropped onto the site, okay? And so if it finds that there's an upgrade there, it's going to reroute your request. So if you just drop that on there in a live site, the next person to hit your site's upgrading your site. Okay. Now, if you change this to false, like I just did, next person to hit that's going to have an under construction page. Okay. If there's an upgrade package ready. Okay. So I just changed that to false. And that's the last thing. Oh, well, real quick. So if you do that, it will be necessary. If you see that URL up there, it'll tell you it means that's the root of your site. All right, install/install.aspx !mode equals upgrade. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but that's a shortcut, or not a shortcut, but that's how you get to your upgrade package. So when you hit that URL on your site, the upgrade will begin to execute. Okay, and so you'll see that in just a second.
Do you have to go through each individual upgrade yourself, or if you happen to be sitting like at maybe 4.7, now you want to go to 4.84. Will it just go through all of the iterations between?
The answer is check my blog. No, honestly, it is. You can't go from, like, say, version 3 to version 4.84. All right. The reason being, there's some incremental upgrades that are breaking changes in the upgrades at certain steps. Okay. Now, because there hasn't been like an official document out there to tell you which ones you can upgrade to and not upgrade to, or from to. All right. What I've done is I actually have a list on my blog to be able to, and I think the link's at the end of the slide, to be able to figure out, okay, I'm at this version, what's the next version I can go to without breaking my installation? And in the very end, the rule of thumb is to maybe try it yourself. When you go to upgrade a site, you don't want to just go upgrade your site. Take a copy of your site down, have it on a staging server somewhere or your local machine, perform the upgrade locally, see if it works. All right? You never just want to go and upgrade your site. And I probably should prefix that. That's something you always want to do first. To get a staging copy of your site, upgrade that. Okay? Does that make sense?
And your staging copy is different from your development copy. Or should be.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay, so we have our site up here that we just did. We can see it's the same URL, JaxDNN. I just put it up there. But this one's 483, not 484. So we're going to perform an upgrade now. Now, what we really should do is do a backup.
Is anybody running .NetNuke currently on a public website that's under what version? 482?
And that's 4.6.
That string that Will just showed that has you do the automatic install, the URL, that was one of the bugs that was just found here recently.
What's wrong?
Right? Isn't that the install ASPX?
The security, that was
One of the security upgrades.
483 had that. They were fixed the security flaw.
I'm not familiar with that one. What's wrong with that one? What was that one?
I can't remember.
Okay, I'll look that up.
But it was something about that particular install script is still left on, like Randy, is still left on your site, so somebody could actually go to that URL. If they knew that you had a .NetNuke site, that's an attack vector. Okay, that's why you want to upgrade from 4.6 to 4.84. Okay, so that nobody could write that URL to your website and reinstall it or wipe out your stuff.
Right. So you're saying they removed that ability?
No, they just fixed the.
They removed the files.
It wasn't just like if you went to that URL that it would break something. You had to go to that URL with something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I'll have to look into that more. Okay, that's good to know. So it's still
one
secure.
Of the security upgrades.
Okay, so we're going to go over here. This is my 483 site. I'm going to go to my 484. Now, what some people do, just as an FYI, some people don't use the upgrade package. They use the install package when they do upgrades. And that's not a wrong thing to do. Basically, the only difference between an upgrade and install is in the upgrade package, they remove everything that has not been updated from the previous version. Okay? So one of the originating factors behind that is because there's a lot of people, .NetNuke is a worldwide use open source project. There's a lot of people in a lot of different countries using it, and there's a lot of people in the early stages when they started separating this out that was complaining about the download size just for an upgrade. So they split that up. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and use the upgrade. So here it is right here. And I'm just going to grab it all, and I'm going to drop it down onto my site.
So you have to go back and change your app settings after you drop this in on that auto update thing?
No. Are you talking about the auto install?
Yeah. So
you should have done that. You should have done that before.
So that's not necessarily one of the files in the upgrade.
Oh, okay. That's a good thing because I was going to bring up something about the web config anyhow. In previous versions before 4.6.2, I believe it is, you had to go during this upgrade package process. You had to go and manually change your web config. Since 4.6.2, they have a tool in there called the Xml Merge. And so what they do is in your upgrade package, you just drop it down there. It'll automatically merge your changes, or your originator one, with the changes that they need to make on theirs.
Okay.
Now, is it fail-safe? No. If you have a highly customized web config, there are things that could possibly break. Okay? So in those cases, I would manually take a tool like WinMerge or some other diff tool and see what they've changed and manually move the stuff over so it doesn't break yours.
So
okay.